did want to circle back to Ausar Thompson.
Hmm.
And he actually had an interview with USA Today, and I love this interview by him because he had a lot of tidbits. And anytime I get to sit down and listen to him, like he reminds me of such a old like throwback player because like he's not about like, oh hey look, that's Kevin Durant, oh hey look, that's LeBron James. Like he's trying to like be that guy, and he wants to win Defensive Player of the Year. So I want to ask you this: do you think there's a possibility that he has the tools to become a Defensive Player of the Year? Obviously, we have Victor Wembanyama, but we don't really know how long he's going to be out with those blood clots. You got Jaren Jackson Jr. there. Do you think he has the physical tools to eventually kind of be in that conversation?
I think he does. I think it was Jalen Williams from OKC that had an interview where he kind of brought some light to guys like Asar or even himself that should be getting a little bit more discussion. Because if you look at how DPOY is rewarded now, it's really just the best big who blocks the most shots and grabs the most rebounds. That's really what they lean on at this point. So when you have somebody like Asar, who's an absolute demon in terms of his on-ball defense, very active with his hands. I saw him strip Chris Paul, which led to him getting that fast court lob from Jalen Duren. Yeah, I think he has all the tools without question. And just like Duren, he's learning how to defend without fouling. He doesn't need his hands. He doesn't have to hand check because even if he gets beat, his quickness and his recovery time is so incredibly fast. I've never seen anything like it, and I think he's a little bit better of a defender than his brother, but maybe not as good of an offensive player as his brother. But yeah, the defensive talent I think is right there. In terms of the way he's able to play, his energy on the glass too, he does a really good job. We saw it in his rookie year where he was top 5 in rebounding for the first like 20 games or something like that. And with him and Durant working together in that front court, they both do a phenomenal job of working and keeping extra possessions up for the Pistons and taking away extra possessions for the opposing team as well. So as long as he's able to keep that focus, keep his fouls down, and he's also a player that isn't super predicated on focusing offensively. Like a lot of players, like they all want to like focus on how many shots can I get up. He takes the most pride in his defense, his playmaking, and helping other people. So knowing that that's what he excels at best with his speed, his athleticism, and his intelligence, I don't see why he shouldn't be in the discussion for the next several years. I do think he should win it at least one of these times coming up for sure. I really do.
Yeah, if you remember, last season he led the Detroit Pistons in blocks, and he was shut down very early.
Yeah.
I saw it last night. He was out rebounding Jalen Duren and Alex Len, going for offensive rebounds. Like I know a lot of people say like it's a center's award. They go by blocks, they go by steals, but like you look at the box score sometimes with the SAR, like his stocks are up there with the bigs. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have enough blocks, enough steals. His lateral quickness, I think, is very slept on. I have not seen a defender like that in probably ever. It's honestly crazy. Like he can get beat and still like bother a shot or still block a shot. Like his athleticism is just off the charts. During Rising Stars, he like took off from the restricted area and just floated in the air. I'm like, dude,
Yes.
like what the hell? Like this kid's an alien. Like that's crazy. Just like his overall athleticism. I honestly do think though he could win a Defensive Player of the Year. And I think of another former Piston that I know some fans like to compare him to, which I can see, but like Dennis Rodman won Defensive Player of the Year, and Dennis Rodman obviously was just like a unicorn during his time. But like, if a player like Dennis Rodman can win Defensive Player of the Year, I think Asar could too. And I know the media has their agendas and their narratives, but I mean, like, if the Pistons are going to be winning games like this, the media can be persuaded very, very easily. If Pistons are a 30, 40, 45 win team, over these next, 4 to 5 years, like you'll start to see, more friendly ESPN podcasts talk about Ausar Thompson, talk about K, talk about Ivy, and they're already doing it this year. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think like Ausar has all the physical tools to be a Defensive Player of the Year. Like I remember when Jonathan Isaac was healthy, like he was really close to winning it before he tore his ACL. Like
Mhm.
I think Ausar has like all the tools to, kind of have like that similar effect.
Yeah, I remember that Dennis Rodman comparison. I even dove into it a little bit where I personally think Asar's athleticism, and I'm not downplaying Dennis Rodman because he was absolutely a unicorn in terms of his athleticism, but that play that you talked about where he was literally a step inside the free throw line and just glided through the air for that dunk. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen Dennis Rodman do that. He did that with ease. He did that and made it look so simple with his game. And if you look at the way that they play defense now in terms of how Jalen Duren is playing, I think a big reason to his progression is because of Asar's presence in the lineup now. The fact that he's able to play 20, 25, up to 30 plus minutes now at this point, I think that's done wonders for him because he doesn't have to clean up everything. Like Duren does not have the sole responsibility of, always having to cover for a guy that's beat, whether it's, Ivy or Tim Hardaway Jr. or Cade or whatever it is. Like Ausar is one of those guys that can help too. Their rotations are a lot more crisp now. Like you see, they're not allowing a whole lot of like open threes like they did earlier to start the season. Ausar has helped out with that in the team chemistry wise tremendously. And yeah, just in terms of his own skill set wise, yeah, I don't really think it's a question. Like his ability to just get up and down the floor with ease, rotate around. He does a good job talking, and like he takes all that challenge of fighting the guys, whether it's defending a point guard, defending a two guard, a three, he defends fours, he can switch to fives if he needs to, and he's not really a mismatch. Like again, his hands, his strength, where he's gonna get bigger over time. It's not like a mismatch to hunt out a guy like Ausar Thompson. Like it's just not. He is a guy that has elevated this entire roster in terms of their defensive execution. And the more he gets comfortable, as long as he stays healthy, the sky's the limit of what he can bring for this team. And I think a DPOY trophy should be in his future at some point. He is spectacular.
Yeah, he said in this interview that he already thinks he's the best perimeter defender in the NBA. And like honestly, like when I read that, I was like, you know what? I don't really think it's like a hot take. Like I think that like you could have conversations about other players in the NBA, but like he shouldn't be in your at least top 5. Like if you're just talking about like on ball defense, perimeter defense, like we talked about like Jalen Duren doing a lot better. Like Asar's weak side, he covers so much ground for not only Jalen Duren but Cade and Tobias, where like he's just the ultimate Swiss Army knife. And like I think a big reason why the Pistons have had such a resurgence and gone on these winning streaks and have had this competitive basketball is because Ausar Thompson is healthy. Like it kind of makes you think like if he didn't get blood clots, like how many wins would they actually have right now? Like, could they have 40? Like, because like you're just seeing like what he does on the basketball floor.